Under the glare of the stadium lights, Ethan Hale felt more alive than he had in weeks. The roar of the crowd, the rhythm of cleats against wet grass, and the sting of cold air on his skin all pulsed through him like adrenaline, and escape rolled into one. For 90 minutes, life outside the field didn't exist. Not the messages he'd ignored, not the routines that had dulled into comfort. Just the game, the team, and that new presence that wouldn't stop catching his eye. Ryan Torres, the team's newest midfielder, moved differently. Confident, fluid, with the kind of reckless ease that came from knowing exactly what kind of attention he drew. Ethan had seen that look before, the quiet smirk, the held stare, but this time it hit differently. Maybe because Ryan wasn't trying too hard. Maybe because Ethan was noticing when he shouldn't. On the sidelines, Liam, Ethan's long-term boyfriend, watched proudly, hands buried in his jacket pockets, smiling each time Ethan's name echoed from the stands. For years, Liam had been Ethan's constant, steady, supportive, the kind of love that stayed even when the fire dimmed. But lately, Ethan had begun to feel that steadiness as weight rather than warmth. It was love, yes, but love wrapped in expectation. Midway through the second half, Ethan collided with Ryan near midfield. They both hit the ground, a blur of sweat, grass, and breath. Ryan's laugh was low, teasing. "Easy, Captain," he said, eyes locked on Ethan's longer than necessary. Ethan smirked back, something unspoken sparking in the space between them before the referee's whistle cut it short. The final whistle came too soon. Victory tasted sweet, but Ethan's focus was elsewhere. As the team gathered in a huddle, Ryan's hand clapped his shoulder, firm, familiar, lingering. Liam's voice called from the fence, waving, camera in hand. For a moment, Ethan froze between two worlds, the one he'd built and the one calling him to ruin. Later, under the locker room's flickering lights, laughter and water mixed in the air. Ryan passed him a towel, grinning. "Bar after this?" he asked. The tone was casual, but the look wasn't. Ethan hesitated, glancing at his phone. 3 unread texts from Liam, each one softer than the guilt building in his chest. "Just one drink," Ethan said finally. "Good," Ryan replied, brushing past him with a grin. "Wouldn't want to celebrate without my captain." Outside, the night hummed with the low buzz of streetlights and post-game energy. Liam's car waited near the exit, headlights cutting through mist. Ethan waved him off with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. As Ryan's laughter echoed behind him, Ethan followed, unaware that the night would ask him to choose between comfort and chaos. And for the first time in years, he didn't want to choose right. The bar pulsed with a low rhythm, the kind that made conversation feel like a secret. Neon light bled through bottles lined on the shelves, glinting off condensation and sweat. Ethan and Ryan sat shoulder to shoulder, jerseys half unzipped, skin still warm from the game. Around them, laughter and shouts from teammates blurred into background noise, a wall of sound that gave cover to quieter things. Ryan ordered the first round without asking, sliding a shot glass toward Ethan. "To victory," he said, voice carrying that rough confidence that always seemed to flirt without effort. Ethan clinked glasses, the burn of whiskey sharp, cleansing, necessary. He needed something to drown the echo of Liam's last text. "Proud of you, love. Don't stay too late." He didn't reply. Ryan leaned back, eyes tracing the rim of his glass. "You always this tense after a win?" he asked. Ethan smirked, trying to play it off. "Maybe I'm just wired differently." Ryan grinned. "Or maybe you've got too much on your mind." The line hung in the air, deliberate, dangerous. Ethan didn't answer. He didn't need to. The silence between them had already said enough. Another round. The laughter got louder. The lights got softer. Ryan's hand brushed against Ethan's arm. Once by accident, then again, not by accident. Ethan didn't move. His heartbeat quickened, and guilt came like a whisper he tried to ignore. Liam's face flickered in his mind, then disappeared under the haze of alcohol and adrenaline. Ryan watched him closely. "You play like someone trying to prove something," he said quietly. Ethan met his gaze. "Maybe I am. What's the prize?" Ethan didn't answer. He didn't know. They sat in silence for a while, the noise around them fading until it was just the sound of rain tapping the bar's window. Ryan's knee brushed Ethan's, a light touch, electric. Ethan should have pulled away, but instead, he turned toward him, searching for something in Ryan's expression. Challenge, comfort, dist. The bartender called for last orders, but neither moved. Time had slowed into a quiet hum. Ryan leaned closer, his voice low. "You don't have to explain anything," he said. Ethan swallowed, throat dry. "That's the problem," he murmured. "I should." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then don't. Just be here." The simplicity of it cut through Ethan like honesty disguised as temptation. For the first time in months, he felt seen, not for what he was supposed to be, but for what he was denying. They left the bar together under the rain, jackets half-zipped, laughter soft and uneven. Water clung to their skin like static, and neither said where they were heading. Only the night seemed to know. And as thunder rolled somewhere distant, Ethan didn't care if the storm was coming. He just wanted to feel something real before it broke. The bartender called for last orders, but neither moved. Time had slowed into a quiet hum. Ryan leaned closer, his voice low. "You don't have to explain anything," he said. Ethan swallowed, throat dry. "That's the problem," he murmured. "I should." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then don't. Just be here." The simplicity of it cut through Ethan like honesty disguised as temptation. For the first time in months, he felt seen, not for what he was supposed to be, but for what he was denying. They left the bar together under the rain, jackets half-zipped, laughter soft and uneven. Water clung to their skin like static, and neither said where they were heading. Only the night seemed to know. And as thunder rolled somewhere distant, Ethan didn't care if the storm was coming. He just wanted to feel something real before it broke. No words followed. None were needed. The storm outside grew louder, and within that noise, they surrendered to silence. Not out of passion, but out of exhaustion, out of hunger for something unexplainable. Time blurred. The room filled with the sound of rain and the quiet ache of decisions they'd regret before dawn. When it was over, neither spoke. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, face hidden in shadow. Ryan watched from across the room, unsure if he should comfort him or let him drown in his own thoughts. Finally, Ryan broke the silence. "You don't have to go yet." Ethan's voice cracked, low and tired. "That's the problem. I should have never come." The rain softened outside, but inside, the silence thickened. Ethan's phone buzzed on the nightstand, the glow of Liam's name cutting through the dark. He didn't reach for it. Ryan turned away. Ethan stood slowly, pulling on his shirt, each motion heavier than the last. The rain had washed the world clean, except for them. And as he stepped toward the door, Ethan knew this wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of something he couldn't take back. Ethan woke to the thin light of morning breaking through half-closed blinds. The air in Ryan's apartment felt heavier in daylight, too real, too revealing. The scent of rain still clung to the room, mixing with something quieter, regret. His head throbbed from the night before, but it wasn't the alcohol that hurt. It was the realization of what he'd done and who he'd betrayed. He turned slightly. Ryan was still asleep, one arm thrown over the pillow where Ethan's head had been hours earlier. In sleep, Ryan looked younger, almost innocent, a version untouched by the choices they'd made. Ethan stared for a long moment, torn between wanting to stay and needing to leave before the guilt settled too deep. He stood quietly, dressing in the same clothes that now felt foreign against his skin. Every movement was deliberate, careful not to wake him. As he reached for the door, Ryan's voice broke the silence, soft, groggy. "You're really going?" Ethan paused, hand on the handle. "I shouldn't have come in the first place." Ryan sat up, running a hand through his hair. "Don't pretend this was just a mistake." Ethan's jaw tightened. It was a choice, a bad one. Ryan's eyes met his, steady and unashamed. "Then why do you look like someone who finally felt alive?" The question cut deeper than any accusation. Ethan didn't answer. He couldn't. He stepped into the hallway without looking back, closing the door on a night that had already turned into memory. Outside, the city was washed clean by the storm, but Ethan's chest felt like it carried the rain inside it. Every sound seemed sharper, car engine's footsteps, the echo of his own heartbeat. By the time he reached home, the guilt had grown so thick it felt like a shadow walking beside him. Liam's car was parked out front. The house was still, sunlight sliding across familiar walls. Ethan hesitated at the door before stepping inside. The smell of coffee filled the air, ordinary domestic safe. Liam turned from the. Ethan forced a small laugh. Yeah, just tired. Liam walked over, wrapping his arms around him. The warmth of that embrace was almost unbearable. Ethan closed his eyes, swallowing the truth before it escaped. Liam's trust pressed against him like something fragile he didn't deserve to hold. For a moment, he almost confessed. But then Liam whispered, "I missed you last night," and the words became a chain instead of release. Ethan nodded, saying nothing. Later, in the shower, water cascaded down his back. Too hot, too cleansing, but never enough. He pressed his forehead against the tile, listening to the sound of water hitting skin, wishing it could rinse away more than dirt. Outside, the day brightened. Ethan stood still, drenched, breathing in the quiet truth. Some stains don't wash off, they fade, but they stay. And as the screen faded to black, only one thought lingered. Sweat fades, secrets don't.